Hey everybody, it's Scott. This is my second video. Just thought I'd follow suit with Chris. I think he does a great job with his videos, and I just wanted to maybe do the same thing. Plus, I might cut down on some of my typing and having you read what I get so long-winded about. So anyway, I'll try to keep it short. But I just wanted to respond to AG10S's question about opening a bar. And AG, please don't be disgruntled by my comments earlier. I just was confused, like I said, about why somebody without experience will want to get into this type of industry, just because in my experience, which is about 13 or more years, I've seen some very tough things, and that doesn't mean that everybody goes through that. Obviously there's very successful bars and restaurants, or any business for that matter, that has been successful with no experience. So I do commend you on wanting to get into it, and I do want you to move forward if you definitely think it's the right thing. One thing I have with me that I guess came to my mind that I was going to show you is my business plan from when we first opened our place. Now if you look at it, you might be able to see that it's a little bit thick. I think it has about 120 pages, and I do know that some people have gotten away with having a business plan as short as 10 pages. I think I've even heard of one or two people getting by with 1 or 2 pages. And Chris is fortunate enough in his experience that he can probably get by with not even having to have anything, just because, as they say, the proof is in the pudding, and I'm sure his numbers speak for themselves. But one of the things I was going to do is just point out a few things that I have in mind that might help you, or I guess the main thing that we went off of, and didn't necessarily mean it was correct, but we got what was called traffic counts from the type of area that we were going into. And not to get into everything here, obviously, but we were able to get those from our city, and in doing so, we got the most updated traffic counts that we could, because I think there was a space of about 3 or 4 years of where we were going into, and where we were going into, there was some huge development within a year's time, so we definitely needed to get the most updated numbers, and I recommend the same thing for you too. So that being said, you know, we took the numbers and crunched them throughout the time of the day and what we thought was going to be good for our business. We happened to be open for lunch, which was 11 a.m. all the way until 2 a.m. in the morning. So we wanted to know what numbers are going to be for 11 to 2 basically, and then after work from 5 to 8 o'clock for that dinner crowd, and then of course later on from 9 till 2, whatever that was going to be for the late night crowd. Unfortunately, I'll admit the numbers weren't what we were hoping. When we did put them together, I put an average number, what I thought would be average, a higher number, an extremely high, and an extremely low number. And needless to say, unfortunately, our numbers weren't average. They were closer to the extremely low number. But in any event, I had them. And the main thing is that was one thing that we went off of. So just to give you something to think about, traffic counts are definitely one way. Chris is definitely right when he says that in the end, a P&L statement may or may not mean a lot. I know that we proposed our plan to, I think, 20 different banks, and we did not get one, unfortunately. So whether it was too long or the information was just not what they wanted to see, in any event, we didn't get the help that we were hoping. I do have some other things in here just to let you know as well. We went to what's called the Small Businesses Administration, otherwise known as the SBA, and they were able to help us get pro forma statements. And I'll just show you a quick breakdown here, if you give me 1 second. The way that theirs looks right here, if anybody can see that. And they break it down for 3 years for us and help us get to our break-even point, projections. They can even have access to the tax dollars. So in other words, what other businesses are bringing in. They don't have access to specific businesses, because obviously that would be illegal, but they do have access to everybody as a whole, and they can average that out for you. So if you're looking to take a portion of the pie from your city, you can get a number based on what the SBA can get for you. So the SBA was a good resource for us as well. The next thing I got here, just to let you know, is a total startup investment guide. We went through and listed everything that we were going to need. Some of the things is our audio and visual equipment, bar renovations and decor, bar supplies, beer cooler and tap equipment, cleaning supplies, clothing, electrical, other equipment, and I have C quotes. The reason I put C quotes, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, is the quotes and bids we have in here as well. The exhaust hood and ventilation system, which unfortunately we weren't able to get due to lack of financing. but in any event, we had it in there. Existing equipment, we were taking over a place that already had some equipment, and we felt it was definitely worth the money, so we put that down as well. Glassware, insurance, kitchen utensils, legal fees, licensing and permits, plumbing and concrete cutting, and we were going to do some concrete cutting where we were. A POS system, point of sale touch screen, in other words, or cash register, either one. Rent, sign information, some software, tables and chairs, tableware and place setting supplies. Training, I put pre-opening. Obviously you're going to need to train your people on how you want things run in your business, and you do need to include that in the business plan. So I have a starting inventory as well, whether it's pop, juice, food, beer, wine. And then I have start of investment without working capital. And then I have a working capital, labor, inventory, and expenses, 3 months. Now, 3 months is very short, obviously, and I would probably recommend going 6 months to a year if you can. I know that gets to be a lot. And that's another thing that Chris was talking about is if you're going to be learning on the fly, you may need to have a little bit extra in there for you to help maybe cushion a little bit of things that you may not be aware of. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but you can never have too much. I know that's one thing that everybody's always said. The other thing I was going to talk about too is we have our menu in here as well, and it's broken down by costs from whether we had nachos or we had jalapeno poppers, quesadillas, burgers, steaks, you name it. We broke it down by the plate and whatever, everything that went on that plate. So we had that in there as well. And then we did put our food costs in there from the vendors so that they could match and compare, and we weren't just pulling something out of the sky. If we say a chicken breast costs this much in our plate, they can come back here and then see that from our vendor, our chicken breast was costing that much. So just a little bit of different formula for them. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have our quotes and bids. On the first page, we actually have our quote for rent, because they're going to want to see that. So we actually have that in here for rent. We have copies of that as well, and or our lease proposal. Some other things we have in here are the intent to lease. We've got that as well. And then just everything from legal fees to the plumbing to the electrical to the point of sale equipment, to the hood and ventilation, to just about everything, you name it. And the reason we put that in there, obviously, is if the bank wants to see what they're going to possibly loan or collateralize, you're going to have to get everything together for them to do that. And a partner and investor is not going to be any different. So anyway, that's one thing that we definitely did. And then the last thing I have in here is some personal info. People are going to want to know some things about you. What's your current situation? Do you have a lot of debt already? If you do, what type is it? And can they maybe take it on and feel comfortable with it? Do you not have any debt? What type of assets can you put up? Can you, possibly put up some acreage if you have land, maybe a home if it's all paid for, or maybe half paid for, or whatever. Obviously you don't want to have to put those things up, but unfortunately a lot of times to get started out in this business, you do have to do that. So anyway, that being said, I'll end that for now, but like I said, ours was pretty thick, I think about 120 pages. I'm not saying you have to do that, but just something to think about. If you have any more questions, I'll try and get back to you. Thanks.